Hi everybody, welcome to the OAG RC. It is another Rising Fighter hop-up time trial thing. I don't know what I call this, a hop-up series, I suppose. So far we have replaced the bushings that were in the original build with bearings, and we have fitted a transmission brace which has stopped the wobble on the rear gearbox and now just makes it go up and down as one whole unit. The next thing that we are doing today is going to be putting on these oil shocks from JK RC. I'll leave that down there. Go and check them out if you're based in the UK. Go and check them out if you're not based in the UK and you think the prices are good. I've used their shocks twice now already. Been very happy. They're on my pumpkin, and they're also on my grasshopper, and they go reasonably well. I'm very pleased with the output. So these have got oil in them already. I'm not going to prat about with that just yet, but there's quite a good bit of travel on them, and they're adjustable, so you can use this little collar here to improve the tension that's in the spring. I am not going to pretend to be able to explain what that does, but I think the more tension you have in it, the harder the compression becomes on the spring. So we are going to put the rear ones on and the front ones on. I'm going to leave the camera on while I do this. I'm not necessarily going to talk through the whole thing. I'll probably fast forward through chunks of it. But if I do find something interesting I want to discuss with you, I will do so while I'm putting it together. Just as something different to do, really, because I've not done one of these before where you've just watched me faff about and make a mess of stuff. So let's see what a mess we can make of it as we go, eh? First thing we've got to decide to do is, are we going to take the wheels off while we're doing this? Probably would make it a little bit easier. So let's grab that and take off the wheel. We'll do one at a time. We'll do the front ones first. Oh, this is all going to go wrong. Bits are going to fall off everywhere here. Let me move these out of the way for a second. And the reason bits are going to fall off everywhere here is because there are bearings in the front wheel here. There's also somewhere a shim. Oh, that can probably stay on there. Look at the state of those bearings. See that? Look. All that mud. That's what happens when you run on dirt and gravel rather than... Oh no, that was a bearing hit the floor. When bearings hit the floor, you never find them again. Found it. Now even more covered in crud than it was before. I absolutely hate putting these little brass bits of metal tube inside the shocks to try and get them in. It is a pain in the arse. And I might have just lost that bit, which will do me a favour because then I haven't got to worry about trying to put it in if I've lost it. to know why these front wheels don't spin as freely as they do on some of the other models that have got bearings in. Even if I was to loosen that up, it still wouldn't spin as free as the pumpkin does. The pumpkin just keeps going and going and going. There's a lot of resistance in that wheel, in that hub for some reason. I can't work it out. Right, there we go. So let's take it off the stand for a second. Pop it down here. Bring you down to this level. So there is a lot more resistance and a lot more travel. That's fully compressed this side now. Fully compressed. Way more travel on the front. Now that is on. Right, let's get the other ones on. They actually look really cool. They really suit this Rising TIE Fighter really quite nicely. So, back ones. The back wheels do need to come off for this. Oh, you can't see there, can you? Sorry. My good buddy Peter Smith at CW01 Creations. If you haven't checked Peter out, what are you playing at? Go and have a look at his channel. He is a good bit of a guru when it comes to RCs and hop-ups, and what he suggests to do is to move to lie the shocks down a little bit at the back as an upgrade. Now, I'm not going to do that just yet. That's going to be a later video, but we basically change the angle of the rear shocks. So if you look at that rear shock there, it's mounted. If I was to move that down here somewhere, it would bring this up here and lay it forward. Crikey! That's got some damping on the back now. That's going to make a difference. So I had these hop-ups sat in a box, well, probably since the autumn really. I actually started collecting parts for this RC before I got it. This was a donation to the channel from the RC Elf, and I mean, you know, the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it? I mean, we got this, probably October, November time last year, and we built it. And we've collected all these wonderful hop-up parts, and now we are, well, rebuilding it, I suppose. It's been apart, it's been back together again. It's still got quite a bit of coming apart and going back together again to do, so I'm not really messing around with the gearbox now. Well, actually, no, I am. We've got a few more modifications to do in terms of driving, like handling modifications. And what I thought we'd do is do all those first. It's too easy, isn't it, just to say, oh, I want my RC to be better, so I'll just put a bigger motor in it and it will go faster problem solved. And yeah, you know what, that probably does solve an awful lot of problems. You can just whack a bigger motor in and your RC goes faster, and therefore your lap times come down, theoretically. But what I wanted to do first is say I want to make this thing handle as best as I can do by doing some cheapish mods to it. Now, the bearings, what were they? £10, let's say. Probably weren't even that, £7. The chassis brace was about £6, and I got that off a chap on eBay who must have a 3D printer and prints RC cars. And then these shocks were about £20, I think, on JKRC. Other websites available. I'm not sponsored by them. I bought it with my own money. But they do sell shocks. They make it very easy. Their website's very nicely laid out. Yeah, I'm trying to find nice, cheap's the wrong word, reasonable priced modifications to do. So, you know, all in all, we're probably up to about, what's that? Let's say 20 for the shocks, 7 for the bearings, 6 for the alloy brace. We're up to £33. We spent £33 modifying it. The first 13 quid of that have made absolutely no difference to the lap times whatsoever. I'm hoping that these shocks, these dampers, have a bigger impact. Because if they don't, then we might as well just stick with friction dampers, bearings, for all of us hobbyists that are out there who aren't professional RC racers. You know, might as well save all of our money and buy more models, mightn't we? It's got to make a difference. Or maybe I've just put the wrong bearings in, and maybe I've got the wrong shocks. Maybe I picked the wrong chassis brace. Who knows? Who knows, right. That is now, whoa, crikey. Now before, that was just like a, it was just so soft before, and now it's really stiff, and it actually looks like it has altered the stance already. It looks meaner all of a sudden. Okay, there we go. That's 20 minutes of my life that was well invested. Oh, grime on there, it's filthy. Yeah, dampers, easy to change, something that any hobbyist can do. Once you've put it together, you can take them off and put some other ones on. It's really simple, really straightforward. And we're now ready to get that out on the track. Not today because it's dark outside, but tomorrow, get the battery pack charged up and hit the track. And let's see if we can get this below 7.5 seconds around the track. Right, we're back in. Unfortunately, not a great run. Fastest time was 7.71, which is slower than above, and the average was way off because, unfortunately, the front shock, as you can see there, exploded and all the oil poured out, and it seriously affected the performance. But what I would say, interestingly, I am not sure that these oil-filled shocks are doing everything that they're supposed to be doing. And actually, I'm just looking at the back of these and they look like they've leaked as well. So what I'm probably going to do is strip these down and rebuild them, because I think there's, yeah, it's covered in oil at the back. Look. The shocks have failed. I've got some spare Tamiya diaphragms, which I will put at the top and see if we can rebuild them back up and see if they work. And I'll have a look at what O-rings are in the bottom of them as well. But that's not particularly great from JKRC, and all of their shocks I would have vouched by up until this point. I've used them on a couple of other models, but they all look like they've leaked a bit this time around. Interesting. Maybe it's just the way they're mounted on the Rising Fighter. Maybe I hadn't tightened them up enough. But back to the drawing board on the oil-filled shocks, methinks. So what I'll do for the next run is I'll tidy those up. I'm going to put some steering arms on the way, which are going to replace the buckled ones. And then we'll get out and do another run on the oil-filled shocks with proper steering rods. Until then, have fun, whatever you do. If you enjoy the hobby, do the sort of stuff that I do. Get your car out, bust it up, get it covered in grass and mud, and have some blooming fun. All right, guys, see you soon. Bye now. Shout away, I'll probably cut most of this out and you'll just be watching me do this in fast forward. Going, I wonder what he was saying. I wonder what he was chatting away about. Oops, chatting to himself in his workshop with no one else around. Recording it for all these people on YouTube who he claims watches his videos, but probably don't. It's probably just his dad watching it over and over and over again, having a good laugh at his expense.